Hello National 5, in this video we are going to be talking about design. And specifically we are going to be talking about design and the file formats that we could use in our website. So we're going to look at graphic file formats in the format of JPEG, GIF and PNG. And we're also going to look at audio formats in the form of WAV and MP3. As well as looking at the different file formats, we'll look at factors that will impact on the size of those files, meaning resolution and color depth for images and the sampling rate for audio. And then we'll have a look at a bit about compression, which is looking about how we reduce the size of a file. So the file formats that we need to know about in graphics are JPEG, PNG and GIF. In a minute or two we will come in and look at a bit more about them in detail. But first we need to look at what impacts the size of these files. So we're going to start off with resolution. Now resolution is the number of pixels that are in an image. So every single pixel, every single square on your screen is covered in pixels. And the more pixels that we have in an image, the higher resolution that image will be. If you look at the sheep on the left, you'll see it's really sharp, it's really clear. That's because it's high resolution. Whereas if you look at the sheep on the left, it's low resolution because there's not as many pixels in it. Now, because I don't have to store as many pixels in my low resolution image, the size of that file is smaller than my high resolution. So essentially speaking, high resolution, high quality, high file size. Low resolution, low quality, low file size. But resolution is only part of the story when it comes to the size of images. We also need to think about how we're storing the color within these images. And this is where color depth comes in. Color depth is the number of bits that I'm using to store each color of each pixel. So this wee pixel here, how many bits am I using to store that pixel? This pixel down here, how many bits am I using to store it? Now, the more bits I can use, the more colors I can store. So with 8-bit color, I get 256 color. This is web color. But with 24-bit, I get 16,777,216 colors. And 24-bit color is called true color. And that's because what we generally see. So with 8-bit color, I don't get as many colors, but the size of my file is going to be smaller. Whereas with 24-bit color, I'm using more bits, so I get more colors, which means that my file size is going to be smaller. And if we have a look here at these two images, the one on the left is 24-bit color, and you can see it looks very realistic, and that's the right. The one on the actual left is low color depth, and it is 8-bit color. And you can see here the fade in the background doesn't look realistic, and the colors across the cheeks don't look as realistic. However, because this image here has less bits per color, it will have a smaller file size than this image here that has 24-bit color. Now, if we wanted to reduce the size of a file, we can reduce the resolution or we can reduce the color depth. But another alternative is that we can compress the file. So compressing the file involves reducing the size of the file, and there's different methods that we can go and do that, and we're going to talk about 2 of those in a minute. But why would we want to compress a file? Well, less storage space is going to be required because we're not going to need the amount of memory to store it. And likewise, if we are sending that file over the internet, we're uploading it as an attachment to an email, or we're downloading it as part of our website, that's going to happen faster if it's compressed. There are 2 main methods of compression. There's lossy compression and there is lossless compression. So lossy compression is where the file size is reduced, and we do that by removing data. Whereas lossless, the file size is reduced, but no data is lost. And there's a fantastic video from BBC Bitesize here, and I'll post a link to that in the description that will take you through lossy and lossless compression. So if now we come to look at JPEG, PNG and GIF and what these file formats mean. Now there's a fantastic infographic on a website called coolinfographics.com that covers everything we need to know about JPEG, PNG, and GIF. So I'll pop the link in the description to this video and suggest you have a look at that infographic and use that to make your notes. But to summarize, a JPEG supports 24-bit color. It's typically used for photographs, and you'll find these on the web. It doesn't support transparency, it doesn't support animation, and it uses lossy compression. A PNG has either 8-bit color or 24-bit color, so we've either got 256 colors or 16 million colors, so it kind of sits between sits between JPEG and GIF. It supports transparency, which means we can have an image with no background and is lossless compressed. A GIF, and you'll know that mainly from the term animated GIF. So GIFs do support animation. They also support transparency. However, they've got a relatively low color depth with 256 colors. And sometimes if you look at animated GIFs and they've taken a scene from a TV program or film and turned it into a meme, it doesn't look realistic, and that's because it has got a low color depth. So what we need to know about the graphic formats is you need to know the color depths for each, if it supports transparency, if it supports animation, the type of compression used, and examples of when it will be used. And as I said, this infographic, Know Your Image Formats mega cheat from our Crumb on Cool Infographics has got most of the information we need. Now, if we turn our attention to look at audio, there are two main audio formats that we can use: WAV, which is a wave audio format, and an MP3, which is a Motion Pictures Expert Group Layer 3 file. Both of these are sound. If you use CDs, then that is a WAV file format and is uncompressed. So it's quite a large file format and quite a large quality because of that. MP3 is compressed, and that's what services like Spotify will use. And therefore, because it's compressed, it's a smaller file size, and there is a bit of a quality difference, but the human ears generally don't hear that. Now, what factor will affect the size of an audio file format is the sample rate. Now, obviously, when we speak, we produce an analog signal, but everything in the computer is stored in binary, so we need to convert that into digital. So the sample rate is how often my analog signal is sampled at. And the more I sample it, the more realistic that will sound. However, because I'm sampling it more, I need to store more information, which means it has got a greater file size. So essentially, the higher the sample rate, the higher the file size, the higher the quality. And likewise, the lower the sample rate, the lower the quality, the lower the file size. And there's a great video on YouTube from iZotope, which allows you to hear what happens as you reduce the sample rate. And just like we can compress audio image formats, you can also compress audio formats, and MP3 is a compressed audio format. In this lesson, we have looked at standard file formats, we've looked at images, JPEG, GIF, and PNG, we've looked at audio, WAV, and MP3. We've looked at the factors that will affect the size of these files, mainly the resolution, the color depth, and the sample rate, and we've looked at why we need to compress files.